Hey there, welcome to Legacy of Love and Laughter. I am Alicia, sometimes known as Nana or Mom, and
I'm Valerie, Grandma, Great Grandma, Nene. Depends on what family you're in at that time.
and we are making these videos for our families, our extended families, and for you, anybody who wants to know it. We're talking about life, about what it was like in our time. And today we're talking about not so much the legacy of love and laughter, but kind of the dark side. And a part of that is why it's been so long since we've done a video. I'd have to point off an aside, you won't notice this, but as I've been speaking, Valerie's cat, Harry Paw, has been being very misbehaved, knocking notes off the table and my pen, and he's going to be a part of the story too.
You'll hear about that.
That's right.
He was very involved.
Yes. So we haven't been with you for a while because it's a bit of a challenge. And if you wouldn't mind starting, Val, with February 2023, I'm going to pick up my paper now. And my pen here.
You're allowed. Here's the other one right there. Well, in February, or probably in January is when it started, Donald found out that he had to have something done about his heart. So on February 2nd, he went in for a triple bypass surgery, which went amazingly well. I saw him right after the surgery was done. He was sitting in a chair, chatting. He was fine, and scheduled to stay in the hospital for a week. All seemed to go well. There was no problem at all. But a week later, when he came home, he got COVID. He wasn't the only one that got it. I got it also. And mine lasted a much shorter period of time, maybe a week, and 2 days were really horrible. But the things that follow COVID up, like long COVID and that sort of thing, it got claws on me. I mean, Donald just kept getting sicker. One thing led to another. We had all kinds of physical ailments, not knowing where they came from. And it was that way for him for at least 3 weeks. It was terrible. I kept getting a little better. He kept getting a little worse.
What you have to understand is, yes, she was getting a little better. He was getting a little worse. But still, she would bravely say, "Oh, I feel a little better today." And I'd go, "Dear God, when is she really going to sound better?" Just sorry about it. I had to add that.
That's perfectly all right. Well, it didn't feel like I was putting in my share at the time. She understood. Everybody at the campground understood. Anybody that had a hint of what was going on. Thank you, God, for such wonderful people that were so supportive with their prayers, their good wishes, their casseroles. I mean, it was pretty good. And my heart went out to them because Donald couldn't eat anything. He ate his soft-boiled eggs and a little bit of chicken broth. So that wasn't doing him any good, and it was making a real mess of his body. Took him a long time, and he was getting weaker and weaker, and he kept losing more and more weight. He finally lost 60 pounds, which anybody who know him
60.
knows 60 pounds is not good. I'm not going to tell you how much I weigh, but he weighed 10 pounds less than I do. So frightening, absolutely frightening. You don't know, you might complain, I don't weigh what I want to weigh. I want to be heavier. I want to be thinner. I want to be better. God, just make me be well. That's all he wanted, was to be better again. So when the time came and he wasn't getting any better, and we had visiting nurses for a while, and
if they showed up.
Well, that group did show up until their time was expired. There was another time that happened, and that, in other words, this could be an unending story because it was a long saga. And I feel horrible about having to share it in a way, but I know that the people who know us are going to know how much it's meant to help you too. That everybody has their sad points. This was very tough on me. It was very tough on Donald. It was very tough on my kids, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren. We all have been suffering through it. I don't mean to make you feel bad, but I want to share it because it's going to happen to everybody. Different. It'll be different for everybody. And hopefully we can hang in there for a long time. I mean, you all celebrated my 80th birthday with me. Donald's 80th birthday is coming up this year in December, and I hope you can all celebrate that with us also. It's kind of a slippery path to walk on because you want to be supportive. You want to be there. You don't know what's going on. Now you've got doctor after doctor and appointment after appointment. Eventually, we ended up with he had to go back to the doctors because something just wasn't right. Something wasn't healing right. There were little droplets of blood on his chest, right where his incision had been and everything. And that wasn't supposed to be there.
It was like 2 months after his surgery.
Yeah, it was a while. And we got the appointment for the doctors. We went into the doctor's office. Long story short, they opened it back up again. Not the bones, just the skin and everything. Cleaned it all out. Said there was an infection beginning up near the top of the incision where the bones got put together and the staples were in. And apparently some of the staples were dissolving, and that wasn't a good sign, and it was kind of hairy. But long story short, what happened was the doctor said, we've got you a bed here in the hospital. You can't go home. How do you feel about that? Donald said, what's my choice?
You gotta know Donald. He doesn't quit up. He is the control freak. And the thought of him having to not be in control of everything is beyond what you and I can imagine. So no matter how much you can imagine how much it would suck not to have control, for Donald, multiply it times 10.
Yeah.
100.
Before we had gone to the doctors, of course, it's hay season. So what does he do? He drags over the 3-step mounting block for my horses, and he gets into the tractor because it's a big step up. And he goes out and he starts cutting hay. Well, it was what made him happy, and the tractor was warm because it's closed in. It has air conditioning and heat and everything else. So he would go out there. I'll be out for an hour. 4 or 5 hours later, he comes stumbling out of the tractor, manages to get up the hill. How, I'll never know, because he was having a very hard time walking. And comes in the house, and now he's ready to pass out and have a soft-boiled egg or some chicken broth. Now, that's not very nutritious, but we tried our best to get him to eat whatever he would eat. Didn't work good because nothing was working right. His stomach wasn't right. His throat wasn't right. Sometimes he'd be vomiting up right after he ate. Sometimes it was okay. This is what happens a lot of times in a marriage. You're really crazy about somebody and you really want to do what you can to make them feel better. It's not easy because they get a little cranky. They're hurting. They know they can't express to you exactly what's going on inside. They can't explain it to themselves. So we did our best, all of us. The girls, my Kimberly, Suzette, Yvonne, they were all very anxious about everything. And fortunately, Kimberly lives really close by, next door, and Suzette's in the next town. So they would come, spend the night. They would alternate. One would be all during the night and one would be during the day. It was, God sent us such beautiful family and friends. My sister would have loved to have helped, but at that point, we needed her more.
I was running the show. I was running the show at the campground.
She loved it every minute, didn't you?
I did, but I worked my butt off. I'll show you. I don't have any left. I do have left. I'm lying. I got plenty left.
We can joke around now because we're hoping, please God, let it all be going well. He's in the hospital still. And it is June 19th. 18th.
Prayers, please.
What time? What's the date?
Today is the 13th.
13th of June.
Yes.
So he went in February 2nd, remember, for his surgery. Now it's the 13th of June. And he's in the hospital struggling, just all skin and bones. And we're trying our best to get him back on his feet and let him do whatever he wants to do. I do whatever I can do to help. I try to not, make waves or anything, but I'm at the hospital to see him regularly. The girls go to the hospital regularly. He doesn't particularly want visitors because he knows he's not himself. And he wants to be able to get back on his feet before he's socializing with people.
I think the bottom line of this is that when you stand in front of that preacher or whatever, justice of the peace, and you say to love and to honor, to cherish through the good times, through the bad times, sickness and in health, till death do us part. You're not really thinking about the death do us part. You're thinking about your damn honeymoon. That's what you're thinking about, Yeah. And these are the times when the love that you have is put to the test. And what we want to kind of share with you today is that you probably will have some of those times. If you haven't already, they'll be waiting for you. And sometimes your faith will be tested to the hilt. Their marriage has been being tested to the hilt. Donald, always the one that was out there, the boss, the controller, and now Valerie has to take the position of the strong part. When I lost my beloved Sammy at 27, and then my precious Tristan moved to Florida, I lost two at once, and I really, really was mad at God. I said, God, I gave you everything. I gave you my life. I gave you where I live, what I do. I sacrificed, some of the things that people would have. I took Sammy in as my own child, my granddaughter, but I raised her as, to do my best. And then when she was taken, it was like, that's not fair. And I wondered how I would get through it. So whatever you are going through, or you feel you may be going through, you will come out of it. If you decide to come out of it, you will. And you can decide to spend the rest of your life miserable. We all have a lot of times in life that things don't go well. Can be financial, can be relational, can be health, as we're all really learning now. And it can be familial. Yeah. At the core of it all is love. And one of the kinds of love is eros, male, female, and all that stuff. And a part of it is brotherly love. And then you've got familial love. And familial love is about your family who has to love you one way or the other. God worked that out, But it's your choice. It's our choice. Don't think we don't ever get along. Let me tell you something. We have our moments. Had one the other day.
No hollering, because I don't do that.
Yeah, I do. I do.
So there you go. You can't have a fight with one person.
And she rolls with it, But you will. And most families today, including our own, have experienced divorce and sometimes being disowned, separated. But we have to go through those times. And I think what's really important now is for all of us to learn what the true value is, and that what really matters. We're learning with Donald right now things that are beyond our fathomability.
Well, when Donald went in the hospital the first time, I had never seen this before. The hospital gives you a pillow, this pretty little heart-shaped pillow. And when you have had your heart tampered with, they give it to you because it makes you cough sometimes. They give this to you so you can hold it against your chest and squeeze it to yourself, so when you cough, your ribs don't move around or anything like that. And then the staff that takes care of you signs, whichever one you can tie down long enough, they sign their names and a little message on this lovely heart pillow. So this is the heart pillow that he got when he first went in for his surgery. This is the heart pillow he got when he went in for the retesting of whatever is going on now. Look at all the names and the signatures. And these people signed because they cared. They cared. They were there at night. They were there during the day. They were there when I was sitting there visiting with them for 7 hours and making you feel comfortable and relaxed, and that they had everything under control and everything was going to be all right. I'm grateful to all these people. He's grateful to all these people. I do hope that someday we get to see them at the campground or somewhere else, because they're wonderful people that dedicate themselves to a very tough job, because it's very hard on the family sometimes when somebody is not doing so good, and he hasn't been doing so good. He's having a hard time even now. This late date, it's, what do we say, the 16th?
13th.
13th.
Don't rush it. We're getting old.
June. And he's been in there for 3 weeks now, almost 3 weeks now. And it scares me every time. I can't tell you how many days I came home and thought, please, God, don't make me a widow tonight. I'm not ready. He's not ready. And we really want to have this go well.
And it is a reality of our lives. So this we have no control over. We ride with it. We have faith. I ask everyone for positive prayer. Positive prayer means that we don't beg God to make Donald better. We hold the vision that God is all powerful, and we vision him coming out of the hospital with a smile. Now, the hard part here is of all the families, and I think every family, so if your family has not in some way fallen apart, you are the exception to the rule. Absolutely. But you see, the difference is that we can't do anything about Donald. I can't bring Sammy back, although I have every faith that I will see her again in the future. And in the meantime, we hold on, and we hold on to each other, because holding on to each other makes us strong. So you want to make sure you always have someone to hold on to when the going gets tough. Don't let little
petty things. Don't let petty things.
Petty crap things.
Doesn't amount to a hill of
I
beans.
mean, one of the saddest things today is politics. Because politics is separating us. And it's all about, a lot of it's BS, because it's opinions. There's a difference between, I'll bet just about everybody, it doesn't matter, you got the one on the far right, one on the far left. If you got down to the core, we all want to be loved. We want to be accepted, respected, accepted, and to be safe. You can make someone feel safe with your actions. I just came back from seeing my family in Kansas City, Kansas and Missouri, my wonderful twins out there. And that was great. And parts of it were kind of challenging, because we're all individual people. And especially my grandkids, because I only see them once in a while, they don't really know me at depth. And I think they probably consider me the crazy Nana with the pink hair.
But you got to squeeze in as much as you can.
Gotta.
So when you're there visiting, you got a few days.
Yeah.
I love you, I love you, I love you. You're my family, I love you.
Yeah, even though we're having an issue. But
yeah.
we're building blocks for the future. And hopefully these videos, one day my grandkids that thinks I'm a nutcase, they will see me a little differently, with a little bit more love and respect. But so I didn't tell you this. When I was on the plane on the way home, you know how you always, I want to be alone. I don't want to sit next to me. I don't want to talk to you. I just don't know, So, but there was no way. These planes were loaded. I'm stupid flying on a Friday night. But I realized with the wonderful water pick my beloved son had given me, and the my regular computer, I can't go anywhere without my computer, I had to shove those under. So I realized I had to have a middle seat. I had to have a middle seat so I could shove all my stuff under, because those other ones are a little smaller. So if you got a lot of stuff to shove under the seat, and you're short like me, and you can't reach the overhead. So anyway, there was a kid I saw in the airport before we boarded, and he was looking, you can just sense sometime by watching someone, they're a little challenged in one way or the other. Well, I get on the plane. I say, I'm taking the first middle seat. I say, this plane is full. I'm not going to try to fight for an aisle or anything. So I hop in, and the young man kind of stiffens up and looks at me, and I'm shoving my stuff under the seat. And he says, ouch, you hit my foot. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. And then he looked at me, he said, I have autism,
Oh, my.
I am autistic. And I said, oh, okay. I have family that's autistic. We're good. And so we chat a little bit during the flight, and then you never know how you're impressing anybody else. Because when I got off that plane, the lady that was sitting next to me was apparently paying more attention than I thought. and she said, I was so impressed by the way you communicated with that young man. He's a young man. He's just like us. He's got a little one thing. We got another thing. You know, you gotta love each other. Even in your family, you have to really, really know this. You've seen that picture of the iceberg. So the iceberg's there and the top is picking up, but everything big is underneath it that you never saw. She's got stuff hidden, even though she is the one person on the planet I have known longer than anybody else all my life, okay? So, even though she still doesn't, as much as I talk, you still don't know all my bottom stuff, and I don't know all your
want to know. I
bottom
like
stuff.
you just the way you are.
What do you mean you don't want to
Or
know?
just the way.
Does
just
it
the way I
frighten
think
you?
are. No, I don't think about it.
I think it frightens her.
No.
Maybe if she sees it, she won't like me anymore. She can't disown me.
I have my own little vision here.
You have your own. Okay, I will let you go with that. So I'm going to beg you, if you have family issues, to please try to resolve them and remember they're there. And you also have two families. You have your blood family, and you have your family that it comes to you. You draw that family to you by right of consciousness. People that have become, like, you know, I got my BFFs. You know, I got BFFs everywhere I lived. There's generally one in one area. And they say, if you have 3 good friends, really good friends in your whole lifetime, you're doing good. Those friends will help you stay light in the middle of your darkness. So I know we're getting out of time, so I'm not going to finish. But I had a lot of notes, remembering that if there's a will, I want to be in it. That was the old saying, you know. Wills have torn people apart. So don't let this stuff, man. Build good memories, build happy memories, and the heck with the stuff, okay? Because you don't know the whole story behind anything. I want you to know, and I think you agree, you can't change others.
Not easily, no.
Did you ever think you could change me?
No, I didn't care. I liked you just like you were.
She knew she couldn't.
I wasn't even going to try.
And the other thing I want to talk about is what we're experiencing with Donald in catastrophic illness. When you're feeling fine, and Donald is always the Energizer Bunny. He's out there from crack of dawn to crack of dusk. Just sleeps enough to get up to crack of dawn again. And we don't think something will pull that rug from under you. And that's one of the things that Donald's really struggling with right now, is the fact that he's not in control. Tell him about what he does with his tray.
He tidies it up all the time. You know, there's different things that are on the tray, and we've got tissues, and we've got water, and we've got cough drops, and but they kind of have to be in a tidy order. He's a very tidy man. He's always, when we were first married, he had this habit that I didn't know about before we were married. He'd sit at the table or at the counter, and we'd be eating whatever we're eating. And as the meal got picked up and everything, and you're still sitting around chatting, he's pushing all the crumbs on the table into front of him. And what he would do is, once he got everything in front of him, he would just simply swipe the table, lift up his arm, and all the crumbs were on the floor. Well, it took me a while to catch why. I kept thinking at first it was me getting the crumbs on the floor. He didn't correct me. But eventually he did stop doing it, because he vacuums the floor sometimes like a real doll, and I would just as soon leave him a little something to vacuum up.
That's a good one. Yeah, so you see it's carried on. He has to have control, whether it's crumbs or whether it's us, you know?
He has a way of being with people that I have a fine way of being with people at the campground and my friends and so forth. But he's got a different knack. He really does. And I can't explain how he can get people to do some of the things he gets people to do. Because I can't do that. I always feel like I'm begging somebody to do something.
A lot of them are
me.
afraid of him, I'm just saying.
You think they're afraid of him?
Well, the thing
they have
is,
a tremendous amount of respect for what he thinks.
I mean, I've known Donald now almost all my life, because I was like 13 when you started hanging out with him. That's another story for another day. But anyway, yeah, Donald and I are very much like vinegar and oil.
But it's still working.
But it's still working because we both love Valerie, and we love each other. We just love each other different. And so, find that love, okay? And stick to that love no matter what.
It'll make you feel good.
You can't count on tomorrow. So make today the best you can make it. Right?
Absolutely right. We've had some tough times lately, but we know and we're trusting that everything's going to turn out good. We're going to get the hay in when the hay should be getting in. We've made some wonderful people who work at our campground a little responsible for some of the stuff that goes on
Crystal's watching.
Oh, hi, Crystal. You know exactly what's going on. We love you. It's time to open the pool, right?
Yeah.
Donald's dying to see the pool opened up with people swimming in it. And he's trying very hard to get back so that his workers, everybody who's coming to the campground this year has commented on how beautiful it looks. We're not doing that by ourselves, you better believe. And they know that it's going to please Donald when he comes home and he sees all that stuff. He's going to be pleased with what's going on. We're doing our best to keep it up for him when he gets home so he can not have to go out there and work, so he can sit for a while, appreciate the pool.
That's going to happen.
Well, you got to pray for the best, and hopefully he'll be the best because he's hoping for that, Just keep your fingers crossed and pray for us. We all love hearing the prayers. They mean more than anything.
Well, we're going to try to do another one tomorrow, so stay tuned. You never know. In the meantime, know that we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, our family in any way, whether it's blood or other, and we behold the divinity in you.
We feel more like family because you're watching us. You're joining us. You're part of the family at the campground, and you're part of our family when you watch this.
Or the bowling alley, or wherever. In the grocery store. We love you all, baby. Bye.
Come see us again.